Well, Assam is all set to get its new Chief Minister. Himanta Biswa Sarma is going to be taking oath as the Chief Minister of Assam in presence of Governor Jagdish Mukhi. This after Sarma was unanimously elected as the leader of the BJP Legislative Party in the state, paving his way for the top post in Assam. The oath-taking ceremony is going to be held at Srimanta Sankar Dev in Guwahati, and BJP President JP Nadda is going to be in attendance. India Today has learned that along with Sarma, 8 to 9 MLAs will be taking oath as cabinet ministers. Our National Affairs Editor Rahul Srivastava getting us more details on that big story. Rahul, first up, this is significant. Also, how many MLAs probably will be taking oath as cabinet ministers? What is it that is expected? Just tell us a little more about that as well.
You see, who is going to get inducted, how many are going to get inducted is usually the prerogative of the new Chief Minister. But I will hazard a bit of a list which has been sourced to me, and what I am told by my sources in Assam BJP, that Mr. Ranjit Kumar Das, Anil Atul Bora, Urkhao Gora Brahma, Parimal Shukla Badya, Chandramohan Patwari, Keshav Mahanta, Ranuj Pegu, Sanjay Kishan and others, nearly 13 to 14 ministers are likely to be taking oath. That means Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, the new Chief Minister, may have a large portion of his Council of Ministers ready by today. And the names which I'm reading out, most of them are getting cabinet ranks. That means they are not junior ministers. Importantly, one change that important which I'm seeing is that the BJP, to ensure that one of its senior men is part of the Council of Ministers, that Mr. Ranjit Kumar Das, who was the Speaker in the last Assembly, that is under Sonowal, when Mr. Sonowal was the Chief Minister, is now going to be a Minister. That means there is going to be change as far as the Speaker in the Assembly is going to be.
All right. Rahul, this comes at a time when there was nothing really working against the Chief Minister. The Chief Minister, the outgoing Chief Minister, Sarbananda Sonowal, essentially, he's resigned. What is the leadership going to do to accommodate him? And the big question is whether what the BJP central leadership offers to Sarbananda Sonowal is going to be acceptable to him at the end of the day.
That's a tightrope walk. You see, Sarbananda Sonowal in 2016 was the face of the BJP. Not only that, he was the mascot of a coming together of ethnic Assamese pride, tribals, and the BJP's Hindutva March, with perhaps a common chord being his strident stand against the Bangladeshi infiltration. That's always been very close to the RSS heart. And he has been Chief Minister for 5 years. He resigned as per procedure. But the fact is that there was no large anti-incumbency against him. The overriding reasons why Mr. Sonowal was removed could well be that there was a bit of a feeling that he was not able to handle the anti-CEA protests. Initially there was a bit of a problem vis-a-vis the battle against COVID-19, and it is said that Himanta Biswa Sarma eventually stepped in as Health Minister and did a wonderful job. If I look at the entire picture in Assam BJP today,
Rahul, we are just going to go across to Himanta Biswa Sarma right now, who's speaking. He's taking oath. Let's listen in.
Sri Himanta Biswa Sarma, Iswarar namot শপত খাই কওঁ যে বিধিৰ দ্বাৰা স্থাপিত ভাৰতৰ সংবিধানৰ প্ৰতি মই প্ৰকৃত বিশ্বাস আৰু আনুগত্য পোষণ কৰিম। মই ভাৰতৰ সাৰ্বভৌমত্ব আৰু অখণ্ডতা ৰক্ষা কৰিম। মই অসম ৰাজ্যৰ মুখ্যমন্ত্ৰী স্বৰূপে বিশ্বস্ততাৰে আৰু শুদ্ধ অন্তঃকৰণেৰে মোৰ কৰ্তব্য সম্পাদন কৰিম আৰু মই ভয় বা পক্ষপাত অনুৰাগ বা বিদ্বেষ নোহোৱাকৈ সংবিধান আৰু বিধি অনুসাৰে সকলো প্ৰকাৰ লোকৰ প্ৰতি ন্যায় আচৰণ কৰিম। মই
মই
শ্ৰী হিমন্ত বিশ্ব শৰ্মাই ঈশ্বৰৰ নামত শপত খাই কওঁ যে অসম ৰাজ্যৰ মুখ্যমন্ত্ৰী স্বৰূপে মোৰ কৰ্তব্যৰ যথাযথ সম্পাদনত আৱশ্যক হোৱাৰ বাহিৰে মই এনে বিষয় যি মোৰ বিবেচনাৰ কাৰণে অনা হ'ব বা অসম ৰাজ্যৰ মুখ্যমন্ত্ৰী স্বৰূপে মোৰ জ্ঞাত হ'ব কোনো ব্যক্তি বা ব্যক্তিসমূহৰ ওচৰত প্ৰত্যক্ষ বা পৰোক্ষভাৱে জ্ঞাপন বা প্ৰকাশ নকৰিম।
Biswa Sarma there taking oath as the new Chief Minister of Assam. He's taken oath saying that he's going to serve the people of Assam with dedication and with devotion is what the new Chief Minister of Assam, Himanta Biswa Sarma, has said. Rahul Srivastava continues to be with us. Rahul, like you've been saying, this has been a tightrope walk also because, at the end of the day, you also have to accommodate somebody like a Sarbananda Sonowal. But at the end of the day, the performance also of Himanta Biswa Sarma as the troubleshooter, so to speak, in the northeastern region really paid off. And perhaps that's one of the reasons why the BJP, which has banked so heavily on him in the past, decided to bank on him once again when it came to managing Assam as well, isn't it?
Yes, I think that's the element. It's the winnability element in elections and managing critical issues that has worked for Himanta Biswa Sarma compared to the mass leader, popular leader, face of Sarbananda Sonowal. And that's why the BJP will walk the tightrope, which I was saying earlier before Mr. Sarma's oath, that the BJP will have to address Himanta Sonowal's position. If it does not accord him a respectable exit out of the state or give him something which is plum posting, then there will be resentment among the various tribal communities, because Mr. Sonowal is a tribal, he is a mass leader. So if the BJP does not give him a respectable exit at this moment, there is going to be resentment and a political backlash that Himanta Biswa Sarma is going to inherit as Chief Minister. And that's why a balancing act, a tightrope walk for the BJP. Till now we have heard that Mr. Sonowal not very happy with the idea of being given a cabinet berth in Delhi because in 2014 he was for 2 years a cabinet minister of sports and youth affairs.
Yes, Rahul, just going back to where all of this started, essentially, Himanta Biswa Sarma as a member of the Congress party was a minister in the Tarun Gogoi government in the state of Assam, extremely unhappy. There was a lot of infighting that went on for months together before Himanta really quit because the leadership of the Congress party were firmly behind Tarun Gogoi, isn't it?
Yes. I think the BJP, at the back of the BJP's mind, when it was taking a decision on Mr. Sarma, racing ahead of Mr. Sonowal, that factor must have weighed on the BJP's mind. Remember that Mr. Sarma has done it in the past, that his talent, in quotes, whatever he brings to a political party was ignored by the Congress party. His pleas for backing and support to Rahul Gandhi were ignored. And that is why he chose to join the BJP. And that's what the BJP must have realized, that at a time when Mr. Sarma has become very strong in Assam BJP, he has deep inroads, he has had a major say as far as ticket distribution in this election is concerned. The BJP definitely realized that if it does not give in to what Mr. Sarma brings to the table at this moment, there could well be trouble in future. Remember, the decision has been taken by the top, by the Modi-Shah duo. It is not a decision of the MLAs. And the Modi-Shah duo will be looking at the 2024 Lok Sabha elections because Assam was a happy hunting ground for the BJP last time around. It doesn't want to change its tally in Assam. And that's why winnability compared to political rationality in terms of going for a mass leader has won this time. And as I said, Mr. Sarma has taken his oath nearly 13 MPs, MLAs are going to be likely to be inducted as ministers. Important change. Ranjit Kumar Das, the Speaker in the last Assembly, is being inducted as a minister.
Yes, Rahul, his role as a finance minister has been lauded, but as a chief minister, I mean, this is going to be a different ball game altogether. You have the pandemic, you have several controversial statements that have been made by Himanta Biswa Sarma when it came to dealing with the pandemic, including the fact that he said that the mask is not required. Also, apart from that, there are other issues as well. For example, there's controversial Citizenship Amendment Act or the NRC, and also dealing with the kind of problems that tea garden workers, a sizable population in Assam and a vote bank in Assam, have been facing, isn't it?
Yes, these are the challenges which Mr. Sarma is going to face. You see, there is a balancing act the Chief Minister has to do, because in Assam, CAA made elsewhere in the country could well be a polarizing issue that the BJP can exploit. But in Assam, it has counterproductive impact. And those implications are a conflict with the BJP's line on various other elements like NRC, Bangladeshi infiltration and others. And that's why this whole citizenship issue is a very vexing issue for the BJP in Assam. How the BJP balances that ethnic element with the outsider element, with a traditional voting system of those who have come from outside but are Hindus, is something that is going to test Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma. Then the state's finances are not in a very happy position. The state is very short on revenue, and the tea garden workers were being promised since 2016 when the BJP came to power that their wages are going to be increased. Now, the tea workers are a very specific voting tribe in Assam. Why do I say that? Because in Assam, they belong to either the tribes or are outsiders who have come out and settled there. So their political leanings are slightly different. And addressing such a large community with such a large voting salary promise is something Mr. Sarma will have to prove. Also, Assam in the last 3-4 days has had a major surge of COVID cases. For example, I have friends in Dibrugarh and other districts, where even in single gardens, 130 to 150 cases are being reported and gardens are being closed. So there is a balance between economic and battle against COVID. All these are instant challenges that Mr. Sarma will have to deal with, apart from the fact that he has got a mass leader like Mr. Sonowal who is sulking.
He's sulking and that's expected really, but where is he going to agree to some sort of a position or a ministerial berth really that's going to be obviously perhaps been offered by the central leadership of the Bharatiya Janata Party? Will he want to stay away from Assam really, Rahul?
No, you have hit the nail on the head. That's the key. You see, Himanta Biswa Sarma was an ambitious man. Sonowal knew that. And in the last 5 years, despite being number 2 and Sonowal being number 1, if Mr. Himanta Biswa Sarma has been able to convince the leadership in Delhi that he is a faster horse than Sonowal, then definitely Sonowal will be worried being out of the race in Assam. You see, if Himanta Biswa Sarma has managed this, once Mr. Sonowal moves out of Assam, definitely his roots or his footprint in Assam is likely to get impacted. Now, any mass leader draws his power from the kind of support system or footprint that he enjoys in his own state. And that's where lies Mr. Sonowal's sense of worry, that if he gets out as a minister, his toehold in Assam will reduce, and then he might he might face political problems. That's where lies again the catch for the BJP, how it creates not just a respectable exit for Mr. Sonowal, but how does it provide Mr. Sonowal a stake as far as politics of Assam is concerned. That equitable distribution is also a challenge for the BJP.
All right. Be with us, Rahul. We'll just come back to you. Meanwhile, Chetty Narula is telling us about the key challenges ahead for Himanta Biswa Sarma.
What are the challenges for Himanta Biswa Sarma? Number one, of course, is the coronavirus crisis in the state. Not just the state, is there in the entire country, and especially for him, now in the state, this will become the first big challenge. Sulking Sonowal. Of course, Sarbananda Sonowal is sulking, and his father as well, so that's going to be another impediment for him. Tribals are likely to be angry with Sonowal's exit. That's another huge impediment for Himanta. Wages promised to tea garden workers. That's the other one which he will have to tackle. Also, he will have to tackle the anti-CAA unrest in the state of Assam and chalk out the next steps for the NRC.